Retail stores are struggling in 2020, with lockdowns forcing them to close their stores. Many prominent retailers already went bankrupt, such as JCrew, Neiman Marcus and JCPenny. Macy's, on the other hand, has been able to weather the storm so far. In this video, we're going to look at how Macy's got so big, looking over their recent earnings, and what they are planning to do in the future to stay relevant in a changing retail landscape. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. Macy's is over 100 years old and was started back in 1858 when Roland Macy opened the first store in New York City on 6th Avenue. Today, the 6th Avenue store covers an entire city block and is 10 levels of retail space and is one of the largest stores in the world. Macy's capitalized on the holiday season, and this is where the brand really shines, even to this day. The first Santa Claus in a Macy's store was introduced in 1862. People would bring their kids to see Santa, and while they were there, they would also do their holiday shopping. Macy's also creates extravagant window features in their flagship Manhattan store. This tradition was started in the 1960s and is still a big attraction today. Macy's also created the iconic Thanksgiving Day Parade that happens every year in Manhattan. By intertwining itself with the holiday season and creating attractions that bring people into their stores, Macy's grew to be one of the largest retailers today. Macy's IPO'd in 1922 and used this money and started buying up local department stores in suburban areas. They wanted to bring their city fashion into a suburban scene. By 1956, Macy's had over 32 stores bringing in $400 million in sales. However, by the 1960s, competition started increasing, and suburban areas saw more department stores. Then CEO Edward Finkelstein thought of new ways to bring in customers and distinguish their brand from other department stores. They introduced flower stalls in their stores and introduced high-end cosmetics and makeup consultants in each store. This is when the perfume sprayers were also introduced, always attacking people with perfume to the face. In 1986, Macy's decided to go private in a $3.6 billion leveraged buyout. We all know how well leveraged buyouts pan out. This buyout increased Macy's debt substantially, and by 1992 they filed for bankruptcy. In 1994, Federated Department Stores bought Macy's and merged them with other brands they owned. This created the largest department store network with over 500 stores nationwide. The strategy behind this was that they could impress brands to come and sell their products in their stores. However, today, Macy's size is actually hurting it, as people aren't going into retail locations anymore, and shopping online has become much more prevalent. Also, in fashion, people tend to shop at smaller boutique stores rather than big box stores like Macy's. In 2015, same-store sales dropped 2.5%, and the stock has been getting hit hard, going from around $40 a share into single digits. Same-store sales are the key for the retail market. If your stores aren't making more money, then there's no need to expand and open new stores. This is a bad sign for a company though, because if sales continue to decrease, you might start having to downsize. Macy's is now facing this. They are starting to downsize and started closing stores. They plan to have smaller neighborhood stores and are trying to become much more like a boutique with personalized fashion. They are also focusing on expanding their online presence and marketing their online store specifically, rather than their retail locations. During the lockdown, Macy's laid off over 3,000 corporate positions and are rolling out a $1.3 billion expense savings plan. The only way they survived the lockdowns was because of their online sales, which were up 53% from the same quarter last year. So people are actually still buying from Macy's, but are only doing it online. During the lockdowns, Macy's actually pulled in $3 billion in sales, and this was with their stores being closed for the majority of time. When all their stores were open though, they were bringing in over $5 billion in sales a quarter, so their sales did take a big hit. but this just shows you how much their online sales really held up. However, they still lost $3 billion overall for the quarter, and a lot of their expenses came from restructuring, layoffs, and store closures, as they were giving people severance packages and breaking leases on their retail locations. So can Macy's actually survive the pandemic? Well, looking at their cash on hand, they have $1.5 billion in cash. This might sound like a lot, but they have a lot of debt and expenses. They have over $5 billion in liabilities. This is like saying you only have $1.5 billion, but bills are coming and their totals are $5 billion. So this is not good. This is why the stock has been beaten down so much. Their debt is way too high, and people are thinking that the company will have to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy to restructure some of this debt. This is why they are cutting costs as quickly as possible, because at the current rate, Macy's cannot survive burning $3 billion a quarter. There also has been rumors of an acquisition of Macy's, but I don't think anyone wants to buy them, because they have way too much debt and not enough to offer at the current price. Even as things start to return to normal, I think the damage has been done to Macy's, as they were struggling already pre-pandemic, and this just straddled them with even more debt. In the future, I can see Macy's filing for Chapter 11 to restructure their debt and continue to downsize heavily. I wouldn't be surprised if they became an online-only brand, as it seems like the only thing making them money right now. Online-only brands also have a lot less overhead than physical locations. I don't see any real reason to buy Macy's stock right now, unless you are purely gambling on the hopes of a buyout that might not come. Macy's has definitely seen better days. The brand has been enriched in the holiday season, from Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade to the window scenes that are truly magical. This branding is what gives value to Macy's, and this might be the reason that Macy's brand will continue in some form. And with that being said, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe to see more videos.